so happy that you were able to do that. So um, I cover the Southwest region. So for those of you that are in Southern California, Nevada, southern tip of Nevada, Las Vegas, surrounding areas, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico, please feel free to give me a call. Give me a call anyway, even if you're not in my region, because I'll be able to connect you with the right people. Okay. So I'm gonna just take you to a couple things. If I can share my screen. Here we go. I'm gonna share, my screen. And I'm going to take you to a couple places. So that's the check-in site, by the way. So when you do check in, it's going to ask you these questions. And again, you'll receive an email from me with the information that I'll be sharing with you today. I highly recommend for those of you that don't know a whole lot about Pacific Life, please visit this site. So it's called I'm going to pop it in, pl150years.com. And it talks about our very rich history, how Leland Stanford was our very, very first president, how we also wrote the first policy on Mr. Leland Stanford, and how he and his wife used that first policy to help save Stanford University from closing. It's all on here, right? So you can peruse at your will. I always say, look, at the end of the day, when you meet with your clients, right when you step away, they're gonna what? They're gonna Google you. What's going to happen? So if you give them things to Google, such as these things, what it's going to do, it's going to help them get a nice head start to some of the things that you want them to see, and it's also going to help you with your credibility as well. So we've been around for almost 160 years now, about 158 years. I've been in the industry for 25 years, like I shared. I've been working with you for the last 16 years, and Pacific Life and WFG, we have a 30-year relationship now. This is our 30th year working together, which I think is tremendous. So we were one of the first companies that started to do business with WFG way back when you guys were WMA. Yeah, when you guys were WMA. Another site that I would highly recommend too is going to here, which is the Forbes magazine. They do this independent study every single year. I'm going to pop this too, actually every month. I'm going to pop this onto your chat box as well and utilize this. This is a public website to show like who are the top 8 life insurance carriers. And way back in 2020, they did an original, that's when they did this original independent study. They hired Veralytics to come in and take some surveys and also do some due diligence on certain areas on carriers. And so way back when, they did it on stars, right? Everybody does things on stars, Yellow, these guys. And what they ended up doing is they said, hey, Pacific Life, you are one of our first 5-star companies. So back in 2020, we were 5 stars. In 2021, 2022, we were 5 stars. 2023, 2021, we were 5 stars. And look what happened in 2025. 2025, we are also 5 stars. And we're the only company on this independent study to be voted 5 stars all 5 years in a row. And here, where you say best overall, regardless of whether it's term for life, IUL, second to die IUL, VUL, second to die VUL, Pacific Life is in the top 10 category for all of those, which is huge, right? You can go ahead and see who else scored 5. You have Protective on there. I will tip my hat to my brethren that they are nationwide at 4.4 stars, which is great. I know that if it was a top 10, Transmeric would be on here too, but you can share this with your clients and say, these are some of the companies I do business with, obviously the best of the best, and you can see where Pacific Life starts popping up. Term life insurance, boom, there's Pacific Life. Universal Life, boom, Pacific Life. No exam, boom, Pacific Life. So you can see that we are all over the place, and you can see the methodology in which they use to score everybody fairly. So they looked at the rates. They looked at some of the term life guarantees. The complaints are up there too. You've got financial strength. You've got cost competitiveness, reliability. All of that is on here for you to be able to share with your clients. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, is my Pacific Life commercial. Now, for those of you that don't have this already saved, I'm going to pop this into your website. We created this as your first stop with Pacific Life. This is the WFG training site. It has all kinds of great information in there for you to be able to peruse. It has videos. You can sign up for all kinds of stuff. Our webinars, we have weekly webinars on there that you can sign up for. Sales concept, all this stuff is on here. I think it's a great site. Take a look. Take a look at what we can do to help you. Now, let's get into, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to ask you to do this. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of things, Let me do a couple things. I'm going to move the chat box over here to my. By the way, if I look over to my left-hand side, it's not because I'm hearing voices. That's besides the point. I've got my chat box off to the left, so I'm kind of monitoring it. Now, before we get started on the meat and potatoes, I'm going to ask you to take out a separate sheet of paper. Here it is, okay? And I want you to write Pacific Life at the very top, and I want you to number it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? I'm going to ask you to do. And why is that? Because there's going to be two things it's going to help you with. Number one, it's going to help you with what? With your penmanship, because some of you look like you write with your feet, yeah? Too much texting, too much typing, not enough writing, yeah? So it's going to help you with that. But what it's really for is that as we continue to have our conversation tonight, I'm going to ask you to write down some names, right? That's why you're here. You're not here to look at me and see how good looking I am. I've never been accused of such things. You're here to be able to elevate and grow your business. That's what you're here to do. And that's what this list is for. And although we have really, really, really great memories, like a mind of a steel trap, sometimes we forget stuff. So as you think about somebody, or I might ask you to write somebody's name down, then I want you to make sure that you've got something here that you have an actionable item to be able to discuss with somebody. Okay, so let's make sure that. When I was talking to Don, and we were saying, hey, what was she talking about? What kind of new things do you have? And I said, well, we've got a few new things. More importantly, I think the conversation, is super, super important, especially as we go here, as we are closing up January. Can you believe it? It's almost February. I swear, the older I get, the faster it goes. And here's the great part. The first quarter, I feel, is one of the best times to be able to reach out to people, okay? One of the best times to be able to reconnect with people. It is a natural thing. It is a, hey, Happy New Year, hey, Happy Lunar New Year that's coming up. It's a good time to reconnect with business owners that maybe you have reached out to in the past to see how their planning is going. There's a lot of reason to be able to connect. So what I want to talk about is when you do connect with somebody, or maybe even some of the offerings that you can provide service-wise, yeah? And as you look through your book of business right now, or the people that you are in contact with, I think one of the best things and one of the most crucial things you can do, especially if you have clients already, are policy reviews or an annual review. And I think people, unfortunately, don't do them. And I'm hoping I'm not talking about anybody here, but I'm going to give you an example of why it's important. So I had a conversation with an EVC, it was last year, and we were talking about what to talk to clients about right now, right? So this is towards the end of the year, and we were talking about a lot of executive comp and things like that. And then he told me, he was like, yeah, I'm working on a client right now that I got reconnected with, and she was my client 5 years ago, okay? So he met her 5 years ago when she wasn't making a whole lot. She ended up buying from him like a $250,000 policy, and she was only funding it with $300 to $500, I think it was a month, okay? 5 years, okay, 5 years. Well, she ends up joining like Herbalife or something, and she crushes it. Like, she just crushes it. She goes to making like $1 million cash flow in that short 5 years, okay? And he had that original policy, the original IUL sheet that she did. Well, they got reconnected 5 years later through like a mutual friend or something at a party. And here's what he finds out. He finds out that she's now making $1 million. He also finds out that she had bought multiple whole life policies. Multiple. She had an upwards of six whole life policies. And it obviously was through a whole life company, not him. And he's like, David, I am so stupid. Like, I totally missed out on growing with this client. I could have provided better solutions for her. I could have helped her with other areas of her planning, but I didn't and I wasn't able to because I didn't do that first policy review. And I'm like, yeah, you did. You totally missed out. He's like, well, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to miss out on a policy review. But think about it. And she had multiple millions of dollars in insurance. Ultimately, he was able to do some 1035 work on it and get them into something that has a little bit more opportunity for the growth side, and we'll talk about that as well, with living benefits and all that good stuff, because we know that whole life does not have that. And she was happy to get connected to him, and he was a little embarrassed that he sold that first IUL but never ever followed up. So the whole point is, guys, is that if you have a book of business, if you have people, and maybe they don't have a policy with you, that's okay. They probably have something, and for you to be able to come in and say, hey, look, Don, I'm doing for my best clients right now, or for business owners right now, or whomever you're targeting, I'm providing a complimentary service, and that complimentary service is a financial policy review. Here's what I do. I do three things. Number one, I make sure, does it still make sense? Are you over or underinsured? Because life changes, right? The second thing I make sure to do is it still tax efficient? Is the plan that you purchased 10, 15 years ago still tax efficient? And the third thing I do is I make sure, is it a good value? Is it still a better value? Or are you paying too much for too little? Or maybe you just don't have enough. And those are the three things I need, completely complimentary. I just need your last statement, or I just need X, Y, and Z. So let me take you to a couple pieces that I have that I've got. I actually have agents that are sending out and posting it on social media in order to make that point. So here it is. No, that's not it. Where is it? There it is. So here it is. So is it time for a life insurance checkup? Every single year, guys. Every single year. It doesn't matter if they just bought it last year, or if they bought it 2 years ago, 10 years ago. It's important to make sure that they're staying up to date. It's not chicken. You don't set it and forget it. Okay, you still have to have these conversations with them. Did they get married? Look at this. Is your policy up to date? This is a one-page flyer. Did you have a kiddo? Did you start a business? Are you looking to purchase a new home? Did you sell one? Whatever the case is, here it is. Did you make money on an investment or something? Are you looking at a potential windfall? And then you start talking about, well, how much is enough? Maybe what you have isn't enough. I can do that for you. I can take a look at that for you. It's completely complimentary. I don't say free. Why don't I say free? Anybody? What? Pop into the chat box, by the way. Why don't I say free? Why do I say complimentary? For my best clients, I'm doing this. Or for referrals, I'm providing this complimentary service. Why not free? Anybody? Bueller? What do you guys think? Why not free? Put it in the chat box if you think you know why not the word free. Anyone? You guys are shy tonight. What's happening? Come on. I'm even giving you a chat. I'm going to call on somebody. But I call on somebody? Is that what I do? Don, should I call on somebody? Don's already eating something, maybe dessert. Okay. I guess I'll call on somebody. Ray! Yes.
Hey.
What you think, Ray? Why don't I say free?
Well, free 99. It sounds so cheap, but if the way you said it as complimentary, it sounds so professional.
It does. It sounds yeah. There's always a catch. Sure, there's a catch. No, but if you literally go up to people and look for my good friends, my colleagues, for whatever, for if you're a nurse, if you're first responder, if you are whatever, pick one. I'm doing a complimentary review, financial review or policy review, and they're the three things that I look for when I do these things, right? So, yes, it elevates your service, right? It provides them with, oh, it's complimentary. That's fantastic. And when you say that I'm doing this for groups of blank, it makes it even that much more exclusive, because your time is money, and they understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it's complimentary, it's like there's no obligation. I'm just wanting to make sure that you're taken care of. If it's a first responder, you guys do so much taking care of other people. What I want to do is I want to make sure that you're taken care of as well financially. So if you're a first responder, what I'm doing is I'm offering a complimentary service. Here it is. Yeah. Now, if you have not done this before, and if you want more reason, let me back up. And if you want even more reason to give them, to provide them with why they should speak to you, then you start talking about these. You start talking about the risks. And especially with first responders, right? They understand what risks are. They understand longevity. They understand mortality risks. And you want to be able to hit on the tax. We want to be able to hit on taxes too. So hang on. I'm going to back up and let's talk about the questions that you're going to ask, right? So the questions that you're going to ask to be able to intrigue them are right here. Why would I want to do that? Rose, why would I want to? I thought life insurance is a set it and forget it. Right, Ray? I thought that once I had this, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, what is your response to that? Yes, it's great that you have it, and you know what? Life changes so quickly that sometimes something might be too much or might be too little, and you're never going to know unless you look at it. So that's why I say when I do one of these complimentary reviews, there are 3 things I'm really looking for. Number 1, I want to make sure if you're over or underinsured. Are you over or underinsured? Let's take a look. How has your life changed? Have you gotten married? Have you had a kid? Have you sold a house, right? The second thing that I'm looking for is, is it still tax efficient? I know that you purchased, or you told me that you purchased this whole life policy like 10, 15 years ago, but is it still tax efficient? Are you paying too much on a loan, right? We know that whole life has loans between 4 to 8%. Yeah. And did you know that you can refinance that loan at Pacific Life for a 1/4 point net? Yeah, you can go. This came up, by the way. This is why it just came up to the top of my mind. Is that we had a gentleman who had an old whole life policy. The agent was doing a policy review. Found out he had a $75,000 loan paying 5.5%.
Recording in progress.
5.5%. Yeah, and he was and with no long-term care, with no chronic, and nothing. And we were able to say, hey, why not reposition that plan into something that provides you with more opportunity for growth, that provides you with the ability to have long-term care, to have these things that you don't have now, and you have that $75,000 loan. Well, you can refinance that with Pacific Life at a 1/4 point net. A 1/4 point from 5.5%. It was a done deal, so we got it done. Anyway. And the third thing that we look for is if there's a better value out there, you'll find it. If there's a better value out there, you find it. So the fact finder matters. If you've never done it before, heck, we got a fact finder for you. And I know you have a fact finder, but this is specifically for a policy review. So we have the ability to even walk you through this. Personal information, family needs, how that's changed, what's going on. And it's always a good time. I'll never forget a conversation that I had with my parents and my mother specifically, God rest her soul. And nobody's ever talked to them about this, but and I'm the baby, I'm the bunso, yeah? So no one ever takes me seriously. But when we were chatting about what their, all of their hopes and dreams and their kids and things like that, I remember asking my parents, my mom specifically, okay, you have this much, who do you want it to go to, blah, 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 blah. They've never really done any planning. Their planning was have a bunch of kids and see which one is the most successful that can help pay for stuff, winner, chicken dinner, right? But it also included conversations like, not only final expense, but final wishes. And having that conversation, and that also may change. So being able to have a conversation openly with your clients about these things when you're reviewing their current financial positions is imperative. And you get to be a crucial player in that planning that maybe they don't feel comfortable having that conversation with their kids. If you've never done a checkup before, we even have a guide on how to go through it. What do I do? Why would I want to do it? So there's a field guide right here. We have a PowerPoint, I think, for you guys, pretty sure, that you guys can access to have a conversation about it. But here it is. How do you prepare for client meetings? What do you ask? Like I gave you, what do you spotlight? We want to make sure that you guys are a really good overall holistic financial planner or financial advisor, right? You're not here just to sell insurance. That's not what you're here. We're not here just to sell IUL. No, not at all. What we're here to do is we're here to talk about planning. We want to check up on the things that you have. We want to make sure that it's appropriate for what you need and for where you're going. So I cannot highlight more how important this is. So let me stop really quick to see if anybody has any questions. And I'm going to ask if you have written down any names on somebody that you know that you should do either a life insurance checkup with an existing client, or if there's somebody that you know that you've been meeting to talk to about these plans that you have. I would highly recommend writing their names down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some examples of some of the ones that I've worked on already for folks, okay? So let's see. Anybody have any questions? Are we good? We're good? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Okay, good, good, good. All right. Let's see. Let me go to here. Let me go to somewhere. Hang on. Let me get there. Now, we know what season's coming up, guys. What season is coming up? Somebody pop into the chat box or just tell me what season is coming up. And it ain't spring. I'm not talking about summer. What season is coming up? Anybody know? Tax season. Hey, Jose, winter, chicken dinner. Yes, tax season is coming up. Now, what I would do if I were you, if you have access to CPAs, if you have access to enrolled agents, I would write their name down on this list. Because guess who's going to be meeting up with their clients? Yes, enrolled agents, CPAs, tax preparers, blah, blah, blah. It is really, really a good time to be able to get in front of those folks and share with them how you're able to help their clients to discover more opportunities for not only tax savings for a year end, but really going forward. What a really good time. So I would write their names down, and I'll share some info, a tool that you're able to use as well. I have in front of you my favorite one-page flyer. My favorite one-page flyer. That talks about taxes later, taxes now, and taxes never, or tax advantage plans. What I love about this too is because it also gives you the maximum tax rates on the income taxes, interest, dividends, etc. I will give you an example of a client a client that an agent I was talking about this particular client. And then actually the agent's like, hey, you know what? I'm in the same position. So he ended up doing it. So let me give you an example of this. Let me share with you this example, okay? And then I'll show you some numbers. So he had a particular client who had Bitcoin positions. He has precious metal positions, so gold, silver. We all know it's going great, right? It's going fantastic, hand over fist. This guy also had a little bit of real estate, so basically, primarily, most of his assets were in taxable accounts. What do we know about taxable accounts when they do well? What do we know, guys, about that taxes, the middle tax bucket, right? What do we know about those? So if you own a home, if you have a stock market, whatever, what do we know about those assets if there's gain? We know that you're going to have to what? Pay capital gains tax. Yeah? You guys know what the rate is right now? What is the rate today? Anybody know? Let's see here. Who knows? What is the capital gains tax rate right now?
Pilahan.
Put it in the chat box. I'm going to ask you questions. You guys pop in the chat box. Go.
Pila?
20%.
20%. 23.8% with the excise tax, right? But yes, 20%. Did you guys know what it was 7 years ago? Guess.
7 years.
Still 20%.
What's that? 6 years ago? 15%. Okay. Did you guys know that there was a proposal to go to 28%? And actually, the top proposal was to go to 39%. It's rising tax risk, right? But we love that middle bucket. There's nothing wrong with that. So here's what I was talking to this agent about. So he was telling me about this particular client who had a lot of Bitcoin. I go, here's the thing. Everybody thinks that Bitcoin is going to take a fall. It has done fantastic. Yes, it's done fantastic. It's rebound. Great, fantastic. But they're afraid of the bubble, right? They're afraid of the bubble. I go, why would you be? Here's what you do. So I was talking to the agent. Talk to your client about this. You've made a bunch of money, which is fantastic. Well, why don't you skim some of the cream off the top? A majority of their money can still be in Bitcoin. It can still be whatever they want it to be, precious metals. why not just take a little bit of that off the top, pay the taxes on it, because you know the taxes right now are 20%. You don't know what they're going to be in a year, 10 years, 5, whatever. And you also don't know the value of what that asset's going to be. You don't know the value of that Bitcoin in a year, 10 years, 5 years. You don't know. So while you know that it is at a high and you think that might be a bubble, why not just reposition some of those assets into something, that's going to provide some safety, some leverage, and if there's growth to be had, it's going to grow tax-free, and when you take money out later, it's going to be tax-free as well. It just needs to be designed right. It's like, yeah, it's a really great idea. Yeah, it's a really great idea. So you can have both. It's not one or the other. It's an and. Because you have this asset that's doing so well, and because there's that risk of really going off the deep end, then why wouldn't you reposition it into something that provides you better leverage, that provides you protected growth, that gives you the opportunity to take out tax-free income? It could double, it could triple, it could quadruple over time. Why would you do it? And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm like, wait, you're not doing it already? You're an agent. What are you talking about? So yes, he's going to liquidate some of his position now because he knows what the tax rate is. He knows exactly how much he's going to have to pay. So let me show you what that looked like in his eyes. So here is where to go. Where in the world did I do this? Hang on real quick. Oh, please. Let's see here. Case 30. I got it. Let me share my screen. So, I'm going to introduce you to a couple things, and maybe you have a client that looks like this, okay? So the idea was that, hey, my client is willing to liquidate $50,000. Like, okay, great. That's great. What can we do with that, David? Well, I said, there's a couple things. You can pop it into the IUL. However, our Horizon ECV, early cash value IUL, but you don't want to do that because it's going to pump up the death benefit, and unfortunately, it may lapse, right? So I said, we have this premium deposit account. So you guys write down premium deposit account, and I said it's currently earning. You see this? It's currently earning a guaranteed 5.25%. So any money that sits in that premium deposit account is going to receive a 5.25% interest. And the whole point is, you know what? If your client decides to transfer over that $50,000 to us in one shot, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll take a portion of that and put it into the IUL. So now they've got a fully funded IUL for that first year, and they've got the remaining balance, the $36,000, going into this premium deposit account that is going to earn a guaranteed 5.25% once they go in there. It's locked. Once they go in there, right? And then every single year, it's going to go into the IUL automatically. They don't have to see it come out of their account, their bank account. They don't have to worry about it. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind in that way until you start doing it in the policy review. So what does that look like? And in his case, he's like, well, what happens if I want to put more money in? I'm like, well, yeah, we can design that. That's no problem. He's like, well, what happens if I only want to do half of this? $6,000. I go, well, let's take a look at it. So let me show you what that looks like. So here is what we did. Am I making sense? Are we making sense? Are we good? Okay, good. So here we go. So here is what it looked like. Oh no, let me do this. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. You know what? Actually, let me back up. I'm going to back up because I think this is an important conversation. So what I did is, number one, I made sure to do the life insurance for risk protection presentation. So this is a presentation you're able to attach to the illustration at Pacific Life, okay? And what it does, it provides me with more of a story to be able to share with this person. So here it is. Here's the story that I'm sharing. And I'm like, look, okay, the pages that I highlighted for him was this page here. This is the page that I highlighted. It's the alternative investments or alternative characteristics of financial alternatives, okay? So here's what we know. And I said that the mutual fund, that represents your Bitcoin. That represents your stocks. That represents that kind of taxable asset, yeah? I was like, okay. He didn't have qualified plans really or a Roth. He wasn't interested in that. He was more heavily weighted into the mutual funds and real estate, which is right here. So I said, here's what you like about it, right? I go, here's what you're missing. You don't get this. You don't get that. You don't get that tax deferred accumulation or the tax free distribution, or in your family doesn't get any type of income tax free death benefit. So this provides you, the plan that we're talking about is, if you skim a little bit off the top, you can create better leverage. On the death benefit side, if anything happens to you, your family is going to receive a predictable amount. And that was huge for him. I said a predictable amount. He's like, what do you mean? I go, well, you're worried about the Bitcoin bubble. Do you know how much, if you passed away, how much will your family get? Do you know? Do you know for sure? He's like, no. I go, well, here we have a predictable amount that your kids are going to be able to have in case anything happens to them. Doesn't have to go through probate, doesn't have to go through any of that stuff, because unless you've got your Bitcoin set up as such, it's going to have to go through all those things, right? So I kind of think about that. Yeah. I guess so it's important to understand why you should add this to what you have. And that was an important statement. It's imperative to be able to add this to what you already have, because you're exposed to so much risk. So then what I explained was that risk portion, right? Like, look, you have a predictable amount here. It was $500,000. It was $500,000 face amount. I go, look, if anything happens to you, this is what your kids are going to get. And if you want to start taking money out for yourself, this is what you get, right? This is what we showed them. And then we talked about, look, taking money out. Here's what happens with the IUL, or the plan that we're discussing, is the ability to start taking money out on a tax-free basis. And it says tax-free. Okay, tax-free. So the bottom line number for him was this. Here's what you're doing. You're popping in $13,475. That's for the first 4 years, by the way. He was going to fund it for X. So therefore you put in X amount of dollars, and if you start taking money out, this was at the age of 66 or 67. I'll show you. For 24 years, you're able to get almost $1 million. And I'm only showing a 6.3% rate of return, guys. That's it. 6.3 rate of return. We've done far better than that over the long term. So when we looked at the numbers, and he's like, okay, well, what about the extra money I want to be able to put in? I'm like, sure, here it is. And you can see, where is it? There, this is all I'm showing. I'm under promising and over delivering, okay? So there's that $50,000 going over the course of 4 years, and then he's putting in $500 a month for the next how many every year? Only for 20 years to 54. He puts in a total of $149.9. That's including 5.25%, and then he's able to take out basically $144.9 and the $724 too. So these two combined together for that $800, almost $1 million. And for him, I said also, I added that we have the long-term care on here as well. So you're not having to liquidate assets to take care of you if anything happens. You have a long-term care then. So this was just a way to say, hey, look, you have a lump sum of money somewhere. You're thinking about that bubble that could be happening in precious metals or Bitcoin or whatever else you're in. Why not add to your plan, your overall plan that has leverage, that provides potential growth, tax deferred, and also provides you with that pathway of tax-free income. So who do you know, guys, that you can pop onto your list that is in that position? Maybe they have taxable assets that are doing really, really well, and it might behoove them or interest them to be able to skim some of the cream off the top in order to create more leverage, more opportunity, and more tax-free income later on. Write some names down, yeah? All right, I've got another client. We've got enough time. Does anybody have any questions? Let me pause really quick. Questions. Go for it. You tell me. Any. Go. No? Okay, I'm going to keep going on. Let's talk about client number 2. So, client number 2. What a great time right now. Hang on, I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to bring something else up. What a great time right now to be able to approach business owners that you know. So you've got tons of business owners who have every intent to do planning at the end of the year last year, but guess what? The year went by so fast that they never had the opportunity to put into play a key person plan. They never had the opportunity to really think about doing that executive bonus that they intended for their superstar employee. They didn't have the opportunity to sit down with their business partner and talk about how can we protect our interest in the business in case something happens to one of us. Right now, because it's the beginning of the year, what a great way to revisit your business owner clients and say, you know what, hey Aurora, the reason why I'm reaching out to you is that I'm working with business owners specifically, and you came to mind. My intent is to be able to help in ways of planning that you weren't able to get to. For example, what happens if one of your superstar employees either leaves your company or dies? How does that impact your bottom line? Right? That's why I want to reach out to you to see if you've already done a plan. So let me show you what we've done here. Now, this is great and easy. Hang on, let me bring this up. Okay, here we are. I'll bring this one. And I'll also bring, all right, now this is coming up. Okay, and I'm also going to bring this up. There you go. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay. There you go. So here's another one-page flyer that if you check in, you're going to have this as well. What areas you're able to help business owners out. Now, this is the great part. You don't need to know or be an expert in any of this stuff. You just need to know somebody. Do you know a business owner? Then write the names down. Write the name down of the business owner. I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I was speaking to a business owner. They started this business, and they started back in 2023. It was a gymnastics business. They opened a gymnastics center, okay? They started off with 150 student athletes, okay? So they opened this business, started with 150 student athletes. In 2024, it doubled. It was 2024, 2025. Anyway, it doubled from 150 to 300. That's really good growth, isn't it, right? So when I was talking to the client, and the Asian and I are the client, and I said, so tell me, what's your plan? Are you going to scale? How are you going to scale? And they're like, well, we haven't really thought about that. I go, the thing is like you've been open for 1 year and you doubled your business. So you can very easily scale. Like, what would you have to do? What would you need? She's like, well, I would need a new coach. We would need a couple new coaches. We need more equipment. We need X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. I said, great. So how would you fund it? And she's like, oh, we haven't thought about that. I'm like, oh, what do you think? And I said, well, you'd probably have to dip into your savings, or you'd have to go with your savings, right? And she's like, yeah, we used our savings to open the gym. I'm like, oh, okay. So then you probably have to take a second out on your home, take a loan out on your home, like a HELOC. And she's like, we don't own a home. I'm like, oh, okay. I go, so then obviously the next thing to do, if you were interested in doing that, is you would need to find investors or take a loan out, a small business loan out. She's like, yeah, probably. I said, well, one of the things that would help you immensely in attracting investors or become attracted to a loan officer, to a loan officer, is to have a key person plan in place. And she's like, a key person plan? I go, yeah, a key person plan. She's like, we don't have enough money. Like, we just don't have a lot of money. I go, I get it. I understand that as a new business owner, cash flow is very important to you. But the other thing, there are two things. One, you've got a fledgling business that if anything happens to you or your husband, who they were the owners, I go, that could really leave the one of you guys in kind of a pretty tough position, right? She's like, yeah, it's true. I go, so you need something that's going to protect the company. I said, the other thing, too, is that you guys are looking to scale. She's like, it's true. At some point we will. I go, well, in order to do that, they want to make sure that their loan is going to be secured. So they're going to require you to have a key person plan in place anyway. She's like, but the money part. I go, no problem. I go, the money part. I go, you can actually start a key person plan by doing term. And I said, if you look at what we offer now, or if you look at what we offer, is in this case here, guys, I'm showing you the elite term, and it is fully convertible. I said, you can address that by doing term. Before, our term wasn't convertible, and the state of California still isn't. But as you can see, it also has chronic, it also has critical illness. Yeah, and look at this, guys. Do you see this? Do you see? Do you see the price? Do you see the pricing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see pricing on this? Yeah. Let's just take the third best. $44 for a 10-year, $1 million plan. Yeah, that satisfies the need that a loan that a lender would have, and would satisfy that of an investor. So that you're more attractive. I said, put this in place first, then go apply for your loan. Yeah. And are you really disrupting your cash flow? No, you're not. You're protecting your cash flow. I go, and when you start becoming more successful, maybe what you do at some point is you convert this into something that's going to be permanent. And at least you know that if you and your husband both do this, you get $1 million each or $500,000 each, and something does happen to you in regards to the chronic or critical, something would be in place. It made perfect sense. So if you have business owners, and it's really funny how a lot of people don't talk to business owners about having just a key personal plan in place. You can do it with permanent, with IUL. You can do it with term. Term, more so for folks that are like, yeah, you know what, I want greater leverage on that side. I need to have more control over that, the cost effectiveness. Then great, we'll do this. Or do a combo case. You can do both. Write down the name. What business owners do you know? What business owner do you know? Okay. I'm going to continue on until somebody stops me, because I want to give you some ideas on people to talk to. Another thing, since it's tax season. Yeah, tax season's coming up. Well, that means people are getting tax returns. And yes, I know that some people will be using some tax returns for paying off bills and things like that, but what a great way to be able to do this. Let's create some leverage. It's wonderful that you want to pay off the bills, and let's make sure that if anything happens to you early on, that your family's protected. They'll be able to survive financially as in a better position if you don't have one of these in place. Or maybe you need additional in place. Or maybe it's time that they've thought about doing something more than what they have, like the 401k or just money in the bank, or that, let's say they just have a money in the bank period. Then why not consider repositioning those assets that provide you with that greater leverage? That thing that I keep talking about is that greater leverage piece, the ability to have tax-deferred growth, and of course that tax-free income story. So hang on, I've got, where is it? There it is. I just had it up and I don't. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Which is just $500. I did $500 here, maybe $300 a month, or $500 a month. But here's what I did, and I made sure to include, especially when I'm talking to somebody, if they've never really had experience with Index Universal Life, certainly Horizon, Early Cash Value, VCV, the one that we highlight. We talk about it. We talk about the retirement challenge. We talk about the challenges and what does that mean for people. And really, what is a 401k doing for you? I'm not saying don't do a 401k. What I'm saying is, if the 401k is your only thing, if the IRA is your only thing, or you're heavily weighted towards that, then maybe you need to think about what does it truly do for you, and is it going to get you where you need to go? And in this particular case here, you can see the more money I make, the less you receive in benefits. That's right, less you receive in benefits. So when you ask your clients this, why do you think that? Why is it the more money I make, the less I receive in benefits? Why? And they're going to say taxes. You're going to say, you know what, that's a good guess, but it's not quite right. The reason why is because you're limited on how much you're able to put into a 401k, limited on how much you're able to put into an IRA, limited on how much you're able to put into a Roth IRA, limited. That's it, only so much. And so so what's the solution? You make less money. You keep making less money, right? Yeah, no, of course not. You need to start thinking in alternative ways. And that's why this diagram pays off so much, because it just pinpoints the conversation to why you should add the Horizon Early Cash Value IUL to your plan. Why should this be a complementary component to your overall plan? Because of all the things that it does. All of these things that you don't get. You're not saying don't do this. You're saying because you do this, because there is risk, because of this, you should absolutely think about adding this component to your plan. And let me tell you, it's because there's two sides of the coin. There is the What? Death benefit side. That's right. So the leverage. I hate death benefit. I hate the phrase death benefit. It drives me crazy. I always say leverage. There's the protection piece that if anything happens to you, you know there's a predictable amount that's going to go to the people that you love, right? And on the other side, look, you want to start taking money out for yourself? Go ahead. Do you have to die to do it? No. Don't die. Not yet. Use it for yourself, right? Because we know that there's only one side of the coin with a mutual fund, with a CD or corporate bond fund, and that happens to be the performance. The performance. And if you start taking money, or if the performance is bad, or whatever the case is, then you're going to be subjected to whatever that outcome is. So here's what it looks like if you start taking money out of here. So remember, this was $6,000 or $500 a month. Out of the plan we're talking about, well, that's over $20,000 tax-free. That means you're getting almost $500,000 tax-free. And if you want to net the same amount out of the other ones, well, you've got to take into consideration taxes, which means you're going to get less. And if you think taxes are going up, then this might be a really modest number. You might be getting less, but here, tax-free. So the plan in this particular case is for this person to be able to put away the $6,000 or $500 a month for 20 years for a total of 120. I'm only showing you a 6.3% rate of return. So we know that potentially could be a lot more. And then there's also still some death benefit leverage piece later on once they've exhausted the money for themselves. What a great plan. So if you have people that are coming up with a windfall, you've got people that are getting a tax return. Maybe it's some of the folks that aren't having to pay income taxes on their tips. Maybe it's some of those folks that you start having a discussion with on how to help them make money, how to protect that money, right? It's one thing to save it, but it's another thing to grow it. And it's also another thing to grow it with protection. Because we can all make money, but how do you keep it? And not only how do you keep it, but how do you continue to grow it? So we want to make sure we're efficient in that sense. Gosh, I can go on and on, but I'm not going. So let me just say this. We are almost out of time. I do want to stop for any questions, but I want to say a couple things about the product in and of itself, okay? So I'm going to come in here into my dashboard. There it is. Oh, and of course I have to log in. So once you go into the mywfg.com, or excuse me, this one, lifeinsurance.civiclife/WFG training, and then you sign in, and whatever you go into is fine. Okay, let me sign in again one more time. I want to mention a couple of things that helps to differentiate us from other folks, okay? So when I go to products, you're going to see that we have the IUL section, we've got an EUL section, we've got term, got all kinds of good stuff. And for those of you securities licensed, we've launched our RILA as well, which is great. I'm going to go into this Horizon ECD portion. There are two things that I think really helped us to stand out, and people don't necessarily understand them completely. First of all, it is going to understanding your index choices. So we've got 8 different index choices here. We have multi-year choices. Okay, so multi-year means we've got 1-year options. This Invesco QQQ is huge. People love this. This is NASDAQ. And we also have 2- and 5-year options. Okay. Yeah, you see the cap? 24%. Yeah, you see the cap? No cap at all. Do we have other ones with no cap? Sure. Here's another one with no cap at all too. Do we have a high cap at 12%? Yes. Can you allocate to some of them? One of them? Yes. Your client has control. You have control over where you want to allocate to. So yes, we have ones with no growth cap, no cap at the top. We have some with cap that are 2-year and 5-year, and also a bunch of 1 years. Take a look at them. I think they're absolutely worth looking at. This has done tremendous. The 2-year has done fantastic, and the high par 5 has done really, really, really well. I want to say the last credit we received was like 91%. It's a long 5 years, though. I don't suggest ever putting your money in one basket. I suggest diversifying, okay? Diversifying. But we have really great performance. This is why people know us as this accumulation company, yeah? The other thing that we offer that people don't necessarily understand, I'm going to mention, and maybe we can dedicate some more time to that, is going to be this enhanced performance factor rider. So what this does, this provides you with the ability to have much, much better performance if you're willing to pay for extra gas. So, right, if you want to go a little bit faster, this is not the right one I want to show you. But if you're willing to pay a little bit more for gas, this gives you the ability and opportunity to go twice as fast. So basically, if you have rough numbers, if your allocation or if your index option did 10, then you could do 20. If it did, I don't know, let's say it's an uncapped option. If it was 20, then it could be 40, right? You have to pay a little bit extra, but you can actually get better performance. So those are two things that I think really help us to stand apart from others, is the ability to have additional index options with higher caps, with higher opportunity, and also with the enhanced performance factor rider, which is basically a multiplier that if you have a positive return, you certainly can increase that as well. What is the downside is that you have to pay for it, right? And sometimes you're not going to get 10 or 20 or 12% or whatever. It might be a 0, it might be a 2, and you're still going to have to pay for it. But over time, this might be something that you're super interested in. So if you're bullish, we should talk about that. So, having said that, we talked about a lot, didn't we? Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, we talked about a lot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to take any questions. What did we talk about? We talked about how much is the charge for EPFR. Thank you for asking. So it depends. So for the Horizon ECV, it's a very slow step up to the full charge, and it takes 10 years to get to the full charge. So the middle one is basically 5% is the full charge, and the multiplier effect is times 1.91, and then the top one is a 7.5% charge, and that top one, the multiplier is times 2.36, okay? 2.36. So a lot of good opportunity. If you have questions about it specifically, call me. There's my number. Reach out to me. There's my email. I'd love to have a conversation with you about that, yeah? So we talked about, number one, making this list, yes? We talked about different opportunities. Being able to reach out to people to do a effective policy review? Are you ready? Have you done one? Are you doing them actively, right? We talked about skimming some cream off the top. Do you have clients that have positions in real estate or Bitcoin or precious metals? They've done really, really well. What about skimming some cream off the top to create more leverage, to create more protected growth opportunities, and to be able to provide the ability to have a tax-free income on that particular cream they've skimmed off, yeah? We talked about reaching out to business owners. Did you pop a business owner on here? And help them in regards to planning. Yeah? The things that you can do to help them to be more tax efficient, the things to do to make sure that they're protecting their interest in the business. Make sure they're protecting their business. What else did we talk about? We talked about those folks that might be getting a tax return. Or maybe they're getting a bonus from work, guys. And don't just go and spend it. Don't blow it in 24 hours. Put the money to work. Create that leverage piece. Create the opportunities. Protect those long-term care needs, right? Right now is such a great time to be able to engage whomever you want to, because it is the beginning of the year. And very, very quickly, as we all have said, whatever. My goal this year is to lose more weight and to be more financially sound and to have a big old bank account, right? But here we are almost towards the end of the month, and what have we done? We have a skinnier wallet, and we've completely given up on the diet already, and we're eating cake, yeah? So please, please, please engage with your clients. Ask them, especially those business owners too. Let me know what we can do, okay? I'm going to be quiet for 3 minutes or however long you guys have in regards to any questions. And I'm going to say, because anybody written in media, oh, and then we also talked about the EPFR. We also talked about the things that differentiate. Okay. How do you conduct a policy review? How do you access to their accounts and see how their policy performs in the previous years? So what you would do is depending, if you have us, so if you're looking at at your business with Pacific Life, you would go into our plan performance tracking, and it has everything there. And if you have an old client with us, you could reposition that into a newer IUL if it makes sense, and do an internal 1035 and potentially also get paid for it, and we might be able to waive those fees, right? But if it's for another company, just ask for the last statement. Hey, let's look at your last statement. You can see. You'll be able to see, like, people have done this and said, hey, David, can you take a look at this? I'm like, sure. And I can see that they have an old policy or an old plan, and they're underfunding it. Like, the plan is like, I don't know, like $500,000, and they're only funding $250. That's not going to help with the cash values. And they, and I asked, so what's the original purpose of this? Like, it was for cash values. Like, they're only funding with $250. It's not going to get them anything. Like, what you need to do is you really need to sit down and think about this. Like, talk to the client. Can they put more money in this? Or does it make sense to maybe reposition this into something different that's more up to date? Yeah? But good. Good question. And Rose, if you have additional questions on it, call me and ask me. But if you check in, guys, you're going to have that how to do a policy review, annual review link in your email right now. But I want to be able to make sure that I'm here to help you elevate and grow your business in the ways that I can. So if there are things that you are looking to do and you've thought about them or you want to just bounce ideas off of, let me know. If there's somebody on this list that you want to be able to discuss, please let me know this. Please know also that you can come directly with us. When you're working with Pacific Life, you have questions, you want to discuss cases, come directly to us. You don't have to go through a third party or anything like that, right? That makes the process a lot easier too that way, when you're able to come directly to the source and be able to work with us and have real life discussions. And if you have a large enough client, a lot of times, if you need help, I told you that I was in on some conversations with clients. We do client meetings. So, of course, there has to be a certain qualification for that. It has to be a larger case. I have, in my region, 15,000 agents, so I can't even do that with just 1%. But we are happy to be able to either jump on that call or get you prepared for that call or get you to get the right information back to us so we can help you close that business. All right, wait a minute. Who here wrote names down? Somebody pop in on the message. How many names have you written down on your list? Did you get anybody get all 5? Anybody? CPA, business owner, anybody? 2? Who got 5? Nobody did? You kidding me? Is everybody asleep? What the heck's going on? Wasn't that comment that Rose made in the beginning? She bamboozled you? Then I showed up? I'm totally kidding. All right, I've got another question here. Do I? Let me see here. How's this company dealing with negative publicity that is all over the internet recently regarding? Okay, thank you for asking. So, what I would say is this: because things are in current litigation, there's nothing that I can do to comment on things like that on that specific case. Here's what I will say is that I don't know conversations that happen beyond what happens here, right? I don't know the conversation that happens with X, Y, and Z. I don't know. I don't know what the design was or what the goal was. That's why when you're doing these policy reviews or any reviews, that getting that critical financial information matters. I don't know what the design was on the policy. I don't know any of that stuff. But what I can tell you is that when you're working, and the other thing too is this, we have thousands of plans that are large cases. I personally was part of the case back in 2024 that we did $100 million. It was $100 million, one client, a $40 million case and a $60 million case. I can tell you we've not had any issues with that case because I was very closely part of that. And I take those, we look at everything with extra eyes. We take people's complaints seriously. We want to make sure that people are happy. But at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be happy. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not that is the fault of us, we're going to take a look. I can tell you that we've responded already. So if you take a look, if you want to, you can search it. You can see what our response was. What I also recommend is read it. Read what the complaint was. It's all public, and you can make your determination on what to see. But here's what I do know: we've been around for 160 years. Mm-hmm. We've been a main player in this space, one of the industry leaders in this space for a very long time. We've been a very conscientious and good partner to you guys. You can see Forbes magazine. I just showed you what Forbes magazine independent study has said. We're still an A+ rated company across the board. Every company is going to go through something, right? Yours included. Everybody goes through something because not everybody's happy. But does that mean there is fault? I don't know. Not necessarily, right? But we're going to take a look at every complaint and make sure that we've done our proper due diligence to be able to respond accordingly. So hopefully that answers your question for the most part, because again, I can't really comment directly on things that are in litigation, but you should, take a look at the response. Let's see here. What's going to happen again with the executive bonus if your superstar employee didn't die but left your company? So there's a couple things you can do. You can kill him. Just kidding. Don't do that. No. What's going to happen to that within an executive bonus? Okay, there is a difference between executive bonus and key person, and maybe if we want to do a separate workshop, we can do that at some point if Don decides. But with the executive bonus, the person who owns it is the individual. It's your superstar. Mm-hmm. So if they leave, then they leave. It's their plan. They earned it. They get to keep it. Okay, but you're not going to pay anymore. Mm-hmm. So let's say that I am your superstar employee, and you promised me $50,000 for the next 10 years. Okay, and I leave you in year 3. Right? Well, I can leave. It's my plan. But guess who has to come? Are you going to pay the $50,000? No, of course not. I left. So you're like, see you, David. It's yours, but you're going to have to come up with $50,000. Now that could be pretty costly for me, knowing how much that could help. That could potentially turn into. I actually did one for $50,000. I did one for $50,000, and I think I want to say, so it ended up being, if you put $50,000 in with the inputs that I had, that $50,000 a year for 15 years would turn into, at 6.3% rate of return, basically just under $1.5 million tax-free money. Do I want to leave your company and give up the potential of 1.5 tax-free money and all that, and also all of the protection that I have along the way? Not necessarily. The other thing you can do too, Ian, is right? Ian or Len? I don't know. Is you can also put a restriction on it. So you can say, hey, David, yes, this is your plan. However, I'm going to put a vesting schedule on it. So you're not going to have access to 100% unless you're here with me for X amount of years. So even if I left your company in year 3, and let's say that it's year 8 that you've given me full access to the cash values, I have to wait 8 years. I still get to take the plan with me, and I got to come up with that $50,000. And I don't have access to 100% of the money until you designate it. So there are ways to do that. So you can put restrictions on it too. Is there anything else? So you have to explain it to them. Yeah, you got to explain to them, and they'll get it. Like 401ks have vesting schedules, right? So it's designed. An executive bonus plan is designed to really attract, retain, reward, incentivize your superstar employees. And what's one of the attractions is that the employer, the boss, the owner, gets to decide what that plan looks like. Like, oh yeah, David, I want to give you $25,000 or $50,000, but it's tied to this, this, and this. I'm going to put a vesting schedule on it. It's going to look like this, this, and this. All right? So that's it. And it's 100% tax deduction of the business. 100% tax deduction of business. And you get it. It's discriminatory. Like you can it's selective participation. You can choose who it goes to. 401ks, it's not like that. So good question. So if you have business owner clients, I'm glad they're having this discussion. Please write their names down. And I would encourage you to either give me a call give me a call. If you've written any names down and you want to discuss these opportunities, let me know. If you're not in my reach, I'll get you connected with the right person. That can absolutely help you, and we're absolutely willing to be able to coach you through this and talk about how to close these opportunities, okay? Guys, we've got a week left in January, right? It is the love month in February, so I'm encouraging you guys to make sure you're showing your clients love, show Pacific Life some love. Let me know what I can do to help you guys. But thank you again for your time. I know I'm over, so I'm going to throw this back to Rose unless you guys have other questions. But I appreciate all that you do, and I cannot wait to link arms and really get it done. So let's go. Let's really just take over this year and have a good time at it at the same time. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for a very powerful training by David. And surely we have learned a lot that it is very important to really conduct a policy review. Because, that's where we know if there's any life event changes in our clients, and maybe we can offer more or better. Just like any, technology out there, iPhone always have an upgrade. So if they have Pacific Life for a while, we want to make sure we talk to our clients and see if that's still the best policy for them. So thank you, David. We really learned something new from you, and definitely we want to hook up with you for our policy review for our Pacific Life. Those are usually the high net worth people. That's what I heard. But if you want to have a good cash accumulation, I heard Pacific Life's the best company out there. So let's offer this product more to our clients. All right. And anybody wants to say anything? Lizelle, are you still in the house to give the closing? Or that's it?
Great job. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
I'm doing prospecting right now. So thank you, everyone. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Recording stopped.